3. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to our Christmas special.
Absolutely. Well, you say Christmas special because you got a jumper. Otherwise, it was just a bit normal. Good evening and welcome, everyone. There were a couple of emails that just came through. There were some login issues, so hopefully we've got that all sorted. Just so everyone's aware, we have, I say upgraded, but we've gone to a new studio that the people at Readstream have promised will be better, smoother, and more wonderful than ever. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
It's working today.
We did a successful test with it earlier this week and another one again, and it was all working fine. Let's see how it all goes. Let us know in the chat how you're doing. But it's absolutely fair. It wouldn't be a live show of any kind, but especially not us without a few technical hiccups, because it's all good fun. But a very happy Christmas to you all, and howdy. What's the plan for tonight then? Because this is a slightly unconventional one, because we normally start with a region, don't we?
A region or a place or a grape or a style, but we just thought it's coming into Christmas. We weren't sure who could join us live, who were just going to drink and whatever they drank. So we just thought that we would have a bit of fun, recap the year, kind of talk what we've done, some things that we thought were best. So by the best of, as much as he was hoping, it's not, a vertical Claude Vougeot, but it's just a kind of, places we've been, stories we've had, things that we found exciting, and, really, and we want you to share your stories with us as well today. What have you drunk that was great? What do you want to see next year? What's been fun? And, this is just a kind of, it's our last one of the year, and, thank you to everyone who's joined us, put up with us, dealt with us, got on with us, but hopefully you found some great wines, had a good time, and, there's more time. So anyway, should we get wine number one in the glass?
Let's do that. I think, it's quite funny. We finished filming our very last video for the Advent calendar yesterday, and it all got a little bit emotional. It's a very, very strange thing, but we really did feel like we'd been on this around the world journey while we, we especially came back, obviously, from Argentina tonight just to present to you guys. But I think that's been one of the most fun things that I've done wine-wise this year. There have been some other highlights. Our America trip was certainly one of them. You've done lots of fancy things in Austria and Alsace and things.
Later buzzard.
But yeah, even some of the tastings we've been to in London, where we've got to meet some of our people out and about, it's been brilliant. I think a real highlight for me was that Vineyard Cellars tasting, where we went to the and we tried the Pious wines, which was a really cool thing. Yeah.
Really, really great American stuff. So there's been a lot of fun.
There has.
Did you want to do your Advent calendar highlight reel before we start? So what we'll do, okay, let's get Slido on for everybody. So
yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
What we're going to do is the first wine is a little bit of Austria from the southern region. So start tasting. It's from South Styria, 100% Sauvignon Blanc. But Alex has got very excited about his hard work and his photo editing and all that kind of stuff. So I think for those who have been doing the Advent calendar with us, really excited that you'll be doing it. For those who haven't, this is what you haven't seen. But here's just a little highlight reel of where we've been so far this year in December on our Advent calendar.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to hear your kind words on this. It's been immense fun putting them together. Quite a lot of work, but it's been. Do you know what? It really has been an incredible exploration. But anyway, let's get back to Austria, which is where you went exploring earlier this year,
Yeah,
and down to Südsteiermark.
Absolutely. So I was lucky enough to get invited over. So every 2 years they do this big event called Vivinum, that they bring a load of people from around the world into Vienna, and it is one of the most incredible and large tastings I've ever been to. And what you got to bear in mind, Austria doesn't always hit, the higher echelons when people go, oh, what's a big wine region? But I think that either the seventh or eighth largest producer of wine in the world.
Crazy.
Wow.
Wow.
Not huge amounts of it leaves Austria. There's
Yeah.
not a massive export market. But we went and there's all these rooms filled, an entire wing of a, building for Steiermark, an entire wing of a building for Burgenland. It was absolutely massive. It's so much fun. But I then got the opportunity to go on a 3-day vineyard trip afterwards and went down to Steiermark. And it was it was absolutely mind-blowing. I think it's one of those, especially when it's somewhere that you know a little bit about, and as they say, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. Yes, that you say
we're experts at that.
That you say, Austria, and the last time I went to Austria in 2019, I think it was, I was the other end. I was up in the Wachau, and that is all full of Riesling and Grüner Veltliner and Zweigelt.
Yeah,
and
and the classic Austrian
and
varieties,
it's along the river, these steep banks along the Danube.
And so much of that winemaking is concentrated on the east side of the country, and particularly, as you say, in that sort of Niederösterreich region up sort of to the northwest of Vienna. But we've been exploring a bit this year, haven't we? We've done some nice wines down from the southeast, down in
Malziedesee, Burgenland, that kind of area. But you go down to Steiermark or Styria, depending if you're talking English, talking German, and it's just a different world of winemaking. Yeah. It's full of Sauvignon Blanc. It's full of Wilder Baclader, which makes great rosé. There's some Chardonnay down there. So this is Sattlerhof Sauvignon Blanc. So you're right down. You're
literally on the border, aren't you?
Absolutely, and that was kind of cool. We were there's a road that you drive down, and you go down. On one side, you're in Austria, and the other side you're in Slovenia. There's a table that you can sit at. That one side you're in this country, one side you can literally walk across the border.
But when you were talking about this thing, I didn't quite have an idea of the extremity of this, and this is really into the rolling foothills of the Alps, and actually a little bit higher up than where we were over in Burgenland and Neusiedlersee. But check that out. I mean, that's beautiful, isn't it? Just such a great place. That is the vineyards that we're talking about here.
But yeah, less steepness, still steep, but it's not like you go to Wachau and it kind of almost reminds you of the Mosel because it's steep. But it's these more kind of like lush green rolling hills. And the Sauvignon Blanc is fantastic. And for those who've been with us for a while, you'll I talk about Sauvignon Blanc and Terroir. And if you want to take a grape that takes on its sense of place, I think Sauvignon Blanc does this more than any other grape, or at least well-known grape,
quite right,
on the planet. That you compare Sancerre to Marlborough to South Africa to
Südsteiermark. And we've actually got a 40-second video from Alex Sattler, who is the who is the kind of new generation, the real sort of wildlife, nature-loving side of the family. So this is just showing one of their vineyards. So to get the idea of this terroir, check out this.
So we are in Südsteiermark, in Gamlitz, and in this case in Sernaberg, which is a premier cru site of our estate. It's kind of slides from the southern facing to the southeast facing part, and we define in this vineyard 5 different parcels depending on the soil. So the soil changes from quartz and sand over to pure limestone rock, and every single parcel gets harvested separately, is worked on a little separately, and we don't define one system. We have for one vineyard 2 or 3 different systems in that.
I mean, I love the fact that starts off and you think, yeah, that's a slope, and then suddenly it zooms down to the bottom of the valley, and you get a sense of the perspective of how far down it
Absolutely,
goes.
absolutely.
So,
So,
yeah, really cool.
this is the kind of, I say entry level wine. They don't make an entry level wine, but this is their kind of almost house wine. Then they do kind of from the different areas within Südstarmark. They'll make kind of like single village wines and such. So they make a Gamlitz, and then also this particular one is all done in stainless steel. So it's nice, it's fresh, it's appley, it's crisp. But there's a lot of play in that region with oak barrels on the Sauvignon Blanc. So you're seeing lots of different cool styles. But these have been around forever. 1887, 300 years of winemaking.
Yeah, wow.
It really went under the family name in the 1960s, late 60s, early 70s maybe. And now it's, the next generation, Alex Andres have taken over.
I just love how with these family wineries, they just get wider and wider as the family goes down, and suddenly you have all of these people around the table, and it has its complexities, but it's very cool.
But you see that in a lot of places, and I'll talk about it now, so talking about it next. When we go on to Alsace, it's 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th generation families. It's not someone who's...
I love that idea. That's an excellent idea. Yes, we should have that.
Should we?
Yeah, I'll see if I can set up a Discord.
Okay. But, it's not a region where someone's, you look at California, you look at Bordeaux, you look at Australia, you get a lot of people suddenly, I've got a load of money and go in and buy and take over. A lot of these places in Austria, and especially the slightly lesser known regions, are family owned and have been for generations, which can be a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
There's the thing that
it just means they have to price it so they can support their family from this labour intensive style of winemaking.
But there's also the thing that, is there anything changes? No, because we've always done it that way. But on the other hand, it keeps tradition, and being able to find that balance between keeping tradition and moving with the times is really hard in the wine world.
It is, and I see the camera has ground to a halt again, despite us reinstalling Windows. So I'm going to try to fix that while you do your thing. But
Cool.
Yeah, should we move on to wine number 2?
On the other hand, well, let's have a last look at the tasting notes first. But yeah, here we are. We've got apple, lemon, gooseberry. We've got that salinity. We've got tropical fruits. We've got a lot going on, which really showcases what is going on, in this wine. A simple grape in Sauvignon Blanc, but really taking on the place, the terroir, and where it is. So yeah, Alex is going to try and get this moving again, and I'm going to make sure we're moving again, and we'll get on to wine number 2. Oh, there he is. Hello. Okay, we're on Alex Cam. We're over here now.
Yes, hopefully you can still hear us okay. What a joy the world of technology is. But I'm going to just quickly... Right.
Why don't you not balance it on there? There you go. He's going to take you on a tour. Look at this. Exciting times.
Right.
So this is like Inception now, because it's me to me, because both cameras are working now. So there we go. All right.
Slowly.
Come on. Oh my word! I don't know where to look. There's too many things. Too many things. Right, you can be in charge of this, and I'm gonna finish this.
Okay, you finished that. That's great. Sorry about that. All. It is working again. What? No, it's not. No, it's fine. Okay, so
you need to bring the chat back up and make sure people can
do,
hear us and see
but
us.
I've just realised that mouse controls the other computer. Excellent. Well, okay. Well, so wine number 1. I think it's an absolutely delicious wine. I think it's really got that lovely mineral element to it that it is just so delicious with some of those kind of. And I think you only get it on those really kind of more steep slopes.
Yeah. And I just think it showcases once again. I sound like a broken record sometimes. Better than sounding like a broken camera, I suppose. But it does. It showcases its sense of place, and I think Austria has lots of cool stuff. Lots of indigenous grapes, the Gruners, the Blaufränkisch, the Saint Laurent, those kind of things that sometimes it doesn't get enough love because it's something you've not heard of. But if these wines from Styria can come out and people
Yeah.
go, oh, I like Sauvignon Blanc and I can drink that and I get one from Austria. It maybe becomes that stepping stone to explore
Yes.
what Austria has to
Quite
have
right.
next. So yeah, should we?
Let's get wine 2 in the glass.
Let's do that.
I'm going to move that so I can see the screen.
Right, readjusting. All we want for Christmas is a new Stream Deck. If anyone wants to get involved, because
Working computer. Right.
Right, you got to be in charge of the chat because I can't see it.
That's fine. So, so what are we doing for wine number 2?
White wine.
White wine.
White wine. Okay, you can move the tasting notes on for everybody. While I talk about. Anyone would think I didn't do any work and all I did was go on trips to places.
Oh yeah.
when you come
Are
to
you?
these-
Is by
come to
any
these
chance
things.
this is yet another trip that you've been on?
Oh, you know. Some people have got to do it. Someone's got to do it. So, yeah, so we are, and I know for those who have done our Riesling tasting, for those who have done the Alsace tasting, for those who also came and saw me at the Oxford Wine Festival and also did an Alsace taste, you may well have already done 13 different Alsatian wines with me this year. However,
Look at the colour on
it's an
that.
absolutely phenomenal region with such depth of character, depth of style, culture, different wines, different styles. There really is a wine for everything in Alsace, which is what I absolutely fell in love with it. And I've been to, God, I sound like this. I've been to a lot of cool wine regions, but sometimes you go to a wine region and you kind of compare it and you go, oh yeah, know, the hills here are a bit like the hills there, the barrels here are a bit like this, the vines here are a bit like that, the culture here is a bit like that, the food's like, and there's a lot of comparison runs around.
Yeah, of course.
Vineyard to vineyard to vineyard. You go to Alsace and it is like nowhere else. Like the little cobbled streets, the beautiful housing, the phenomenal food, and the food goes for everything from just very rustic, breads, salamis, meats, pates, cheeses, all the way up to mega high-end fine dining and everything in between. And people are they're happy to see you. They want you to experience their wines. They want you to get excited about Alsace. And I think that's really cool. And, Alsace for food, outside of Paris, more Michelin stars than anywhere else in France.
Crazy.
And I think that's the big thing is, it's such a travel route. As you come down through, the Vosges Mountain and try and get from north to south.
Oh, yeah.
Europe. That's really the only way that you would have been able to come down.
We drove through it. It was absolutely brilliant. It was great fun. These tasting notes, right? Remember, what you're tasting here is Pinot Grigio. This is the same grape that makes up that Pinot Grigio that we all get in pubs and things for generally at the lower end of the price spectrum. And come back. And everyone's commenting on the colour of it. Now, I think the really interesting thing about the colour of it, I really need to move that computer, I can't quite see, is that the grapes themselves
are not white.
This is Pinot Grigio. That is Pinot Gris. That is what we're dealing with here.
So
that, as you may have noticed, if you're more astute, is not a typical white grape.
Absolutely. And
it's not grey either, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not. So what's interesting about that is, people, and I think you see Pinot Grigio blush, and people go, how do you get Pinot Grigio blush? Do you add red to it? No, it's skin contact. It's a skin contact wine.
Yeah.
But generally, it's pressed very, very gently, very, very quickly, and you get this fresh juice come out of it. But in Alsace, they age it, they let it rest, they leave it on the lees, they let all this kind of good stuff happen with it, and you get this deep colour, this tropical, this it is you go, and there's some good Italian Pinot Grigio out there. So when I'm talking Italian Pinot Grigio, I'm talking this very ubiquitous, standardised, tastes like lemon, tastes like apple, tastes like cold, and that's it.
That's it.
The fact the same grape can do that, I think is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular.
So where are we in Alsace? We are down between Ribeauville and Colmar.
So we're all the way down to the south, and Cartagena is almost the gateway, the opening winery as you get into the south of Alsace. And it's a cooperative, and it came around in the early 50s, 1954, I want to say. And it was trying to bring winemakers together who had been decimated by the war. So, there was fields and grapes growing, but, not a lot is going on.
It's-
Alsace was, to be fair, not that anyone was lucky during World War II, but there was a decree put that Germany wouldn't bomb Alsace
Yes.
because of its level of
beauty and
historical,
history, yeah.
picturesque
Yeah.
beauty. So the building stood, but the world was a mess, and wine wasn't top of anyone's
No.
list, and especially the finer wines coming from places like Alsace. So they built this cooperative to try and bring people back together to build the trade.
To build back in the trade. And this is Hunevier itself. It's not exactly the biggest place in the world. I'd say that the grapes outnumber the people by quite some ratio. It has a beautiful fortified church there, and yes, when we're looking at this panorama view, you can see Riekweer and the vineyards just to the right of it. Hunevier is just disappeared over the back behind that ridge. So I drove over and picked up some croissants from Hunevier. It's a really
way to do
pleasant little view as you drive through the vineyards. Let's see if I can get some of the chat up. It is very nice. It's just a really nice wine.
There is
you don't need to say anything more.
There is something about having this best of tasting today, just to go.
Great.
That's just really nice. And sometimes that's all wine needs to be. Sometimes I think we get too bogged down in details and this and that, and balance of sweetness and terroir and all these weird fucking wine words that no one needs. Just go,
say what you mean.
I like this. I enjoy this. I want to share this with my friends, or I don't want to share this with my friends. I want to drink the bottle myself, but whatever you like. I think at the very crux and the base of wine, it is something to be enjoyed and drunk and shared and part of an experience. And I think sometimes that gets forgotten, especially as people try to be cleverer and think they know more than the next person and all that kind of stuff. Again, have you never had a Grand Cru? Shut your mouth. Drink good wine. Have fun with people. And I think that's what's really, really important. That when you get a comment like that, you just go, "It's really nice." That's okay. And there's so many people that I talk to. I go and do these tastings, these events, and there's a lot of people, come up to go, "Oh, tell you, I don't really know very, very much about wine." I'm like, okay,
you know what you like.
You don't need
taste
to
it.
If you like it, let me help you. When my car breaks down, I take it to the garage. I don't really know very much about cars. I just say, can you fix my car? Wine should be the same. Find something you like, enjoy it, love it with people,
and don't share it with people if you're Helen. Absolutely, I think that is very, very, very good. And Daria's been over and came back with a car chock block full of wine, which is the right answer. We did the same. As I'm sure you know, my car doesn't have an engine in the front of it, which means there's more space for putting wine in. So, yes, while the back of the car was full with all the children's stuff to deal with as we went on a big road trip around Europe, the front was my space, and that was where the wine was.
I just want to, bear in mind this is Pinot Grigio. Look at the tasting notes.
Yeah, the simplest of wine, and look, it's even got 2 badgers in it, more than usual. So that marmalade,
3 badger, double badger,
sultanas, the herbaceousness. What a fantastic wine!
That is so. Great. I'm hoping for those of you who have been at all my tastings, you forgive me for sticking this wine into the tasting today. The camera's here now, isn't it?
If you forgive Jamie, then you can give him a thumbs up or something on the chat. But yes, great wine, amazing food, wonderful. Yeah, that's Alsace. Yep. But it's not the only place that we've been which has great food, amazing wine, and wonderful scenery, is it? I've been to a couple of other places.
No, the last 2 I went by myself, so I had wonderful company. But as we go on to wine number 3.
Oh yeah, just because you were surrounded by these beautiful ladies. Oh dearie me, not smelly old me. Fantastic. Excellent.
But I'm just going to put that before we go on to wine 3. Our thoughts are, we've had a few comments and we'll ask more about it later. Going into next year, do you lovely people want us to do more kind of like wines of Australia, wines of New Zealand, that kind of stuff? Or do we need to do a little bit deeper dive? Do we want to do more wines of Alsace, wines of Rioja, wines of Margaret River. Those are the kind of things that we want to be doing on the club next year.
And personally, I think that's we've all been on this journey, but some people are joining us for the first time. That's hard to get that balance right between I don't know this region at all, or I don't know this country at all. I've never done. We want to do some countries. We've been talking about doing Ukraine for a long time. We've been talking about doing Georgia for a long time. Actually,
it's been on my mind. That is the fourth time I've done that joke in the last week. I can't put
the slap sound on this tasting. That's disappointing. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because we've had some really nice comments about the Georgian wine that we did in the Advent calendar, which it's great. It is a divisive style of wine, but I thought they nailed that one in particular. So
right, so I'm
same grape, different regions.
I'm going off a little bit of a tangent here, okay? Because same grape, different regions, I think is a phenomenal tasting to do. I think it'd be quite hard to do a show of it. Unless it was just Riesling. So maybe we...
Exactly, you've literally done
Yeah, but I only do that for Riesling.
And that was all Germany, isn't it?
It was Germany versus the world.
Yeah, this time.
But would it make sense for us to do them as standalone tasting packs that you could buy and create some pre-recorded videos and you guys could taste them in your own time? I'm just chucking it out there. But anyway.
It depends.
Anyway,
anyway,
ABC, anything but Chardonnay.
Deep dive specific area. I love the idea of the grape region comparison. Maybe we could do 2 grapes, 3 different regions for each, and actually then you can compare across, so you can see what does a super cool climate Chardonnay and super cool climate Pinot taste like. And do I say that because I like Chardonnay and Pinot?
Well, yes. We could go to Burgundy.
We could go to Burgundy. We could go to Margaret River. We could go to somewhere really hot. Yeah, that doesn't sound horrible.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we moved the tasting notes on to, yes, the Deloach Chardonnay. Now, this, for those of you who have been with us for a while, and particularly who joined us during the Sorted Foods tasting, we did a Deloach Chardonnay.
So we did the Heritage Chardonnay.
It wasn't this one.
So the Heritage Chardonnay
this is a better one.
From all over.
Better's the wrong word. Different. This is a more premium one.
So this is from...
And you can judge if it's better or not.
Absolutely. Better, and then you can see the price and think, hey, how does it work? So this is Deloach. This is from... So this particular wine is their Russian River Valley, and Deloach is part of the Boisset World of Wines, which is also part of the Janoun World of Wines.
Yeah, the Janoun...
Which is also part of the Burgundy World of Wines.
Yeah, Janoun, I loved putting this photo into the video. The James Bond of wine. How Jean-Charles Boisset built a $450 million empire in California and Burgundy. And India, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's not. Let's be absolutely fair. The winery, the Fratelli winery in India, is owned by Indian brothers, and a pair of Indian brothers and a pair of Italian brothers. And Jean-Charles Boisset they brought in to do this super premium wine.
Flying winemaker, a bit like Michel Roland, kind of.
Exactly, thing. But yeah, it's really, he's quite clearly a good winemaker, and so he bought from the Deloach family, who were running it for a really good number of years, but he's come in and he's stepped up the level of quality. So, I think,
Sam, you got to keep in the chat because that's where the pros are. They're definitely not this side of the camera.
Fair enough.
So where are we? So we're California with Deloach, we're Russian River, and yeah, we bought this in A because we went over to California. B, we did the Deloach and the Sorted Food, and that was kind of another cool, fun project that we got to do this year and work with some great people. But when we went over, we started off in Napa Valley, and we were there, and it was relatively warm, and they're growing
like
lots of cab, lots of
something degrees.
So yeah, 1994,
yeah,
it was pushing. It was quite warm, and we went to Gott's Roadside Grill. He tried to order an ahi tuna burger, and
tuna.
I've never seen him get so upset. He's ordering in his best English accent. Can I
would like an ahi tuna burger. Would you like a green chili burger? No.
So he asked for this tuna burger at least 6 or 7 times, growing more frustrated with each. And he's like, no. And I just stick my head over this side and go,
tuna.
Oh, a tuna burger.
It's not my fault.
Just the level of his face just dries like.
I have ordered that same burger from that same place for the last, I don't know when I first went to Napa. I have had that same thing every time I've gone, and it's delicious. If you do get a chance, the ahi tuna burger is fantastic. But there
Absolutely.
we are.
So we're out there and we go around, we taste some wines. We went to this phenomenal garage winery called Tank, and they do all these kind of
very cool.
When I looked at it,
I was weren't very
impressed because they're like, oh, we're doing a natural Sangiovese Barbera blend that's cold pressed fermented, and they were using all the words.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is just going to be some hipster thing.
Low
intervention, bad wine. I'm like, why? Why would you do this? Like, here's a whole bunch Zinfandel. Here's a natty Barbera.
Here's where you take techniques designed for one grape and you apply them to one where it shouldn't work. So, tricky. Yeah,
phenomenal.
It was.
I was absolutely really impressed. The wines, and they make the wines once, don't they? And gone. But anyway,
they do. And when
we are digressing.
You are very much.
We're very digressing because we're there.
But Delotion on to Napa. They are.
The story here is we're in Napa and it was a million degrees. And when you drink a Napa Valley Chardonnay, it's generally quite big, quite confected, oaky, decadent, rich.
Yeah. We have spent all of the money on all of the expensive barrels,
and you get a proper mouthful of wine. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we've read in all the textbooks that as you get nearer the ocean, it gets cooler. So when you're in Napa and you're inland, it's warm. You get big, heavy red wines. When you go to Sonoma, which is where Russian River Valley is, it's nearer the coast and therefore it's cooler and you can make a more elegant style of Chardonnay. So we're driving along. Mr. American wanted a Mustang, so we're in the Mustang.
And we drove over the road between Calistoga and Santa Rosa, which is a stunning place. You go past the petrified forest, which is definitely worth a visit.
Yeah,
and you go up the hills and you come down the other side. Like, just wait for it. You're going to feel the cool.
And there's a little turning on the right where you're meant to go right, but wait for the other car to go before you pull away. But that's a different story. But we're there and we're driving down, and he's like, "It's going to get cooler soon." Sitting 92. So it's going to get cooler. And Alex is sat there going, "We're going to look like real idiots when we get to the coast if it's the same temperature after everything we've been told." Yeah. And we went round the corner, and suddenly it just dropped. Yeah. And we are
wasn't by any chance pretty much 80. When we met the river properly.
Exactly. Yeah. So 85, 80, 75. And it got to mid-60s.
Yeah, it was like 62.
We had a 30-degree drop in a 40-minute drive, if that.
Good question. What do we mean by low intervention? So that's a really excellent question because there is, I think, if you're making a really commercial wine, you are doing it to a recipe effectively, and you want to go in and you look at what the grapes give you, and you say, I want that amount of that chemical, which is going to give you this flavor. I want that amount of that chemical. So you modify it. You might add tannins. You might add acidity. You might even add sweetness to it. You do a lot. There's a lot of kind of messing around with it. And the low intervention style and the message, like, let's leave any reality levels out of this. The message is, we take the grapes, we stick them in a vat.
Let them do what they do.
Wine.
So there's no...
It's more complicated.
There's no choice of yeast. There's no...
Yeah.
So, and can it make... really good wines,
spectacular wines.
It can, but a lot of the time it will make, and I'm not going to say bad, inconsistent
wines. Yeah.
But the people who do it right, so there's a balance of what low intervention is, and generally low intervention. Look at
that!
But generally low intervention, they're doing this. But I can't remember who it was told me. If you go super, super low intervention, you know what the lowest intervention is?
No intervention.
Bird food.
Bird food, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. You do actually have to
you have to pick the grapes, so there's that. And you're seeing some people who are going for this completely natural wine, no sulfites, no anything, and now going, actually...
We're finding a balance. The world is
just a little bit's okay, and just a touch of this. And so not going from a completely... We spray, we use commercial yeast, we do this, we do that, we do that because that's what we do, to going, if I did just a little bit here, I could create, however many fold better, consistent quality going forward.
So, I and to be honest, I don't know where this one sits on that particular spectrum, but what I will do is I will say
it's delicious.
It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? I've got a little video, just a quick clip that shows actually not the time where I went with Jamie because we were too busy getting grumpy about the fact that I just pranged this car. Instead, we will show you the last time I went. We stopped as we crossed the Russian River and just had a little look around. Sorry about the sound quality; it was really, really windy. So this is the Russian River. Here we are in a kind of California which is a very different one to that of the Napa Valley. Here we are surrounded by lush green forest, the tall redwoods, and the mist rolls in from the Pacific Ocean every day. It really creates a vastly different climate. It's a lot colder here, and that means very different grapes. So, I mean, I think it's hard to get across by talking or even with a video how tall these trees are and just the cooling effect of the respiration of the trees themselves. There's I've forgotten the actual term for it, but yeah, they are transpiration.
Did you not have a banana for scale?
I didn't have a banana for scale. That would have been helpful. But they really do make an insanely different experience to the Napa experience, where you're sat in this quite flat valley in Napa, and this is just. Well, it's no surprise that the wines come out so differently. You can make beautiful sparkling wines down there. You've got, let's have a little look at the map, which is here.
Oh, you've got so much content today. So much content.
So where we are, we're on the red dot with a black circle around. That is the winery. That is not where the grapes are. The actual river is in the sort of the top third of this, as you can see it going down towards the sea. And as you go down that area, you're going past some phenomenal vineyards. But and we have Mary Edwards, who make ridiculously good wines. There are hundreds.
Andy Pay makes some phenomenal Pinot Noir out that way, and you and that's the thing. If you go Napa, once again, Napa is Cab, big Chardonnays. Mm-hmm. Russian River, Sonoma is Pinot, lighter Chard, Pinot Gris, those kind of things.
Well, right, we've got some excellent comments here. Calling wine of the night early, that's a brave move. It is fantastic. I think this is the Deloche one that we had in the sorted was great, but this is just such guts.
That is brave, Ian. Are you calling the Tottenham Man United game early as well for tomorrow?
Now, here we have, is the buttery flavour from diacetyl? Yes, it absolutely is. We have this. That is, sorry, I'm getting. Yes, it is coming from the malolactic fermentation. So, malolactic's a complex process, but at a simple level, it turns malic acid into lactic acid. But you're also, particularly in the presence of oak, you're getting this diacetyl formation, which really does give it that buttery character. And again, when we're talking about high intervention winemaking, you are trying to promote things that make that specific chemical. This is just coming from the natural process of we've used a really good quality oak barrel on really good quality grapes, and we've stuck them in there together, and the bacteria have done their thing, and it has produced both lactic acid and diacetyl. But yeah, you do get that. That's a very astute comment, both of you. So what's? Oh, he's crying. Never mind. But let's go for one last look at these tastings, because we've got everything from autumnal. Apple pie, butterscotch, oak, definitely oak, of course.
Five-star badger.
Coconut. So coconut would imply there's a little bit of American oak in there, which isn't surprising because we're in
America and it's got oak.
Parma violet. Now that's interesting. I normally get that tasting note on some of the red wines, but I can't get that. Yeah, that's definitely.
I could tell you, but
have a little smell. But you're not drinking. That's mine.
I don't want to. I don't get any musty badger on it though.
Complex dill, peaches. So you've got that ripe level of fruit, that kind of next level of fruit.
But if you look at it, dill, coconut, cedar, vanilla, they're all oak.
Yeah, there's
characteristics.
Definitely some oak on this. So, wow, what a cool wine. We're not doing too badly tonight, are we? I think we've had 3
Shall I tell you why? Because it's concrete, new oak, French oak, barrel fermented. It's French oak, mate. 70%.
There is French oak. So okay, well, you can still get a touch of the coconut smell.
You absolutely can.
It is.
It's part barrel, part concrete, part old, part new. So there's they're obviously creating multiple different wines and then bringing it back together.
That's how you do it. That's
That was
the process.
it was so weird. I'll tell you about my learnings when I knew very little
Yeah.
about wine. When people go, "Oh, this wine's in 70% oak, 30% stainless steel,"
Yeah.
I thought they had like this hybrid barrel.
But
It's like,
why not? Why not?
It's like 3 of the stainless steel, 3 of French oak. It's like, oh no, that's not how it works.
So he says that. I'm gonna pull something up
what,
to
the cube.
Yeah, the cube. No, Ribarique.
Yeah, you put the whatever
The
stage
staves.
you
Yeah.
want.
So I can't find it now. But there is a type of wine aging vessel called Ribarique, where basically they use straight staves of oak, and so you can put in 30% new, 30% old, 30% American.
It looks like
you want.
it looks like one of those boxes that
It's
they
Jenga.
have that they have at the circus that they put the knife through and and not stab the person in the middle, but you do it with oak staves. You don't need any more pictures going in. You're all right. You're all right.
I'm gonna get it though. Anyway, so let's go on to the next wine. Are we on to reds now?
We are on to reds.
Happy days.
So we are doing 2 reds from the same family, basically. Same grape blend-ish from other sides of the world. So we're going to do it 4, then 5. But what I'd recommend is, if you've got another glass, keep a little bit of 4 at the end so you can taste it next to 5 afterwards. The wines are vastly different, but they've got similar stories.
Much in common.
Right, so let's get wine number 4.
You do that.
In the glass.
And while you do that, I'm going to show people the Ribarique.
Oh my God!
This is a retoastable oak barrel, but it happens to be a cuboid style of thing. And basically, all the wood is clamped in on the sides of this object, and it's there to provide both. What does oak do? Oak provides flavour. Oak provides some of the microbial side of things that live there, and it also provides a small level of oxygen. They call it micro-oxygen.
It was good for the little pig who made his house out of sticks.
Okay, but as you can see, they are made from these individual sort of pieces of the oak that are put in, and when they are used, they can be skimmed off and put back in again to give this a second life in a much easier sense than a barrel would have. As the wine penetrates, it kind of absorbs those flavors out of the wood. It tends to become more what we call neutral. It doesn't give you the flavor. It still has the oxygen effect. But this you can not just skim the flat surface off the inside, you can then re-toast it, which means where you light a fire to kind of burn that wood and give it some more caramelly flavors. It's very cool. I don't know why these things haven't got more acceptance, but that's my thing. I like it.
Same with anything in wine. It takes a little bit longer for people to accept.
Probably a touch more expensive. Interesting.
So we are family
Rhône, isn't it?
Family Perron. We're in the Rhône Valley, and we've done, to be fair, this very wine before, but a previous vintage. I think 2 vintages ago. I know, duplicated. We also earlier in the year did another wine from them. We did their Vaccara, which was absolutely beautiful. I just think this is quintessentially what Côte de Rhône should be. And I always think around this time of year, when we get to Christmas, a lot of people, talk about what they put on the Christmas table. And one of the number 1 wines that turns up around Christmas time is Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Yep,
it seems to be that brand name, people go, oh, it's Christmas.
Premium,
there's a bottle of Châteauneuf-du-Pape and a bottle of port, and I don't buy any other time of the year apart from Christmas. Right. And that is all well and good. But what I like to showcase with this is, if you want a bottle of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, go and get it. Go and do it. Bang, happy days. You get the big, heavy bottle. It's all embossed. It looks pretty. It's delicious.
Yeah.
But Châteauneuf-du-Pape is a town, like Newhouse of the Pope, moved there 1309. The Pope left the Vatican and went there and grew some grapes, and world famous. Probably the most
gorgeous little town.
Probably for a village, the most famous
I'd say
wine region in the world, I would think. But to get a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, obviously all the grapes had to come from that
surrounding area.
Yeah. But that area is in the Côte de Rhône, which is the Rhône Valley. So if you're just outside of that area and you're in the Côte de Rhône, you're growing the same grapes. And a lot of wineries will make a Chateauneuf du Pape from the grapes that come from just there.
Yep.
But then also some of the leftover grapes or blended with stuff that's just outside the vicinity, they'll make a Côte de Rhône, which can be absolutely delicious, but will generally be vastly cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's not me to tell you what to do or what you should drink or what you enjoy. But if you take a Perrin Côte de Rhône, you've then got your next step up, which is your Côte de Rhône Village.
Yep.
And then you go up to your Chateauneuf du Pape, kind of that would be the stepping stones.
Yeah. And then they've got their
other regionals, their Gigondas, their Vaccarat, those kind of things. But your Côte de Rhône will generally be about a third of the price of the Chateauneuf du Pape. Across most brands, that's kind of a way it goes. And the question is, do you want to have one Chateauneuf du Pape or 3 Côte de Rhônes? And for me, I like this drinking style, so I would probably be 3 bottles Côte de Rhône. But then
it depends on the occasion, though, doesn't it? No. Fair enough. Okay. If I'm going baller, it's a Christmas. I want a Chateauneuf, you know.
But and that's fine. I just don't think it's 3 times as good.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm absolutely with you on that. But sometimes you want something that's maybe 50% better.
And then it comes. It's got the name, the prestige, and you can go, oh, I had a Chateauneuf du Pape at Christmas.
Yeah, I respected my guess by pulling out a...
And I suppose it's the same with anything, isn't it? You know, you can have a car that's 10 times the price. Is it 10 times as good as the other car? Probably not.
Was our Mustang Shelby twice as good as any other hire car?
No.
But it also wasn't twice the price. That's why we got it. But
I think I suppose it's the same with anything. But I think what my point is you can get
Chateauneuf
wines of that quality. But I think it's the same. You've got Valpolicella versus Amarone.
Yep.
You've got,
Burgundy Grand Cru versus Premier Cru
versus Village. And you've got these stepping stones that you can go up to. And it really depends, A, what you like, B, what you aspire to have on your table, and C, what you feel you want to take out your back pocket to pay for it.
So I think, for me, as much as the quality of the wine is the kind of the values of the people who make it, and I think that what I love about the Perrin family is that they have been absolute pioneers of this movement to be respecting the soil that we grow the grapes in. I really think that they have been, the French have actually, they've accelerated the biodynamic organic movement really quite strongly, but the Perrin family have been driving that very hard. And so it's been really interesting to see the influence that these guys have had around the world. And it's noticeable when you've got such a significant family who said our quality comes from complexity of the soil, complexity of flavors in the grapes, complexity coming from natural means rather than from, let's go and add some tannin to this or the things that we talked about in that high intervention winemaking style. These guys, they are just trying to encourage all sorts of complexity through natural means. So they will go and do something called the Pied de Cuve, where they capture the yeast that are floating around the vineyard. And I know I see we have some beer makers in the chat. This is not an uncommon thing for particularly Belgian beer makers to be doing, to have that open top fermenter. In wine, it can be a little bit more risky to let the natural things do their thing, because you also let in the bacteria, you also let in the bad yeast, the bad things are going to make bad flavors.
And if you get it wrong with wine, there's not really any, there's no coming back from it. And that's
you can make it brandy.
And I think with beer,
yeah,
because beer isn't done by vintage, you can go, all right, that's not worked. It can be an expensive failure.
True.
But you can get more hops, you can get more barley, you can get stuff to do it. With the wine, once those grapes are gone, that's it. If you pulled it all in and go, let's do this.
Yeah, you better have something in the cellar to sell at that point. Interesting. They are quite simple tasting notes, aren't they? It's mostly primary. There are some really intriguing characters that go into it, like metallic, seaweed. I see there. There is a bit of leather. Cassis gives you that concentration of fruit. I can't quite see what that one says because there's something in the way of it. Oh, I can click on that, can't I? Jammy, juicy, yeah. Okay.
It's a really nice mouthfeel about this. I like this fruit. It's opulent, but then there's that nice spice, that nice kind of like,
yeah.
And where it's quite young, it's got this tightness of tannin that is kind of sits right on the back of your tongue. I do like it.
For me, this is a really lovely, well-made wine. It does exactly what you'd hope from a Côte du Rhône, and it has a little bit more intrigue, a little bit more kind of mystery to it.
But I think this is, if we talk about...
That was a bit wanky, wasn't it? Sorry.
Yeah. If we talk about what a benchmark wine should be, if we go, when people talk about taking exams and blind tasting and typicity and all those kind of words, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
For if someone said, what does Côte du Rhône taste like? There you go.
That.
Done.
And with this one, is it just a pure Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre blend?
It is.
It is.
It is. It is.
And what you'll find is when you get up to their higher level wines, they are the kings of using every single permitted grape variety that they can.
So Châteauneuf du Pape has
yeah.
18 permitted varietals, of which Beaucastel, which is the top of
their top
Perrin,
brand,
use all 18.
So these guys make arguably, I'd say there's a general consensus that Beaucastel is, if not the top, certainly you should be thinking about it as the top Châteauneuf du Pape in the world.
The most, because wine's changed on a year-by-year basis. If I said the most renowned and most celebrated Châteauneuf du Pape in the world, I think that is
so. This is
fair.
This is the entry-level Rhône wine from the people who make the best thing in the world, and I think it's a really cool wine. It's a nice approachable style from them, and that's what you'd hope from a Côte du Rhône. Côte du Rhône means just hug it. It's fine. It's going to be really good with pretty much. I wouldn't go with this with a light fish, but even a monkfish or something like that, that would work. I think. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's the sommelier. Ask him. But with the right food, it does. And I think certainly when you go down to those beautiful sort of grilled foods they have in the south of France, and the Rhône Valley.
So I've always found Châteauneuf du Pape a weird Christmas pairing. I'm going to have Châteauneuf du Pape with turkey.
Okay
then. Done.
Yeah.
But that showcases eat what you want,
like
drink what you want, have a good time.
I quite like it. I'd have a Cabernet Sauvignon with my turkey. I'd have a Pinot Noir with my turkey. I don't care. There's so much other stuff on the plate that's got so much flavour. It's not just the turkey.
Right, before we get to the next one, okay, all right. So,
what are you going to drink with your turkey?
That's what I want. In the chat, what are you having with yours?
What are you having with your Christmas dinner? Pop it in the chat.
And if you haven't got it yet, I know a really good online wine merchant that you can buy some wine from.
Do you see this? That's a plug. That's not as much of a plug as that was.
No, I see. But anyway,
excellent.
But no, I've got a Zinfandel Petit Syrah blend in Magnum for Christmas Day this year.
Zinfandel? You're criticising people for having Châteauneuf du Pape?
No, I didn't say with my turkey. I'll get that done before I move on. I've got to go and see the family. Get a Magnum done before I get going.
Okay, we're going to leave a little bit in this glass, and we're going to move on to the next one because
I bought some spare glasses.
Here. There is a story here.
Okay, wine number 5, everybody, and key fanboying.
Yeah. Tablas Creek, isn't it?
It is Tablas Creek. It's the Patelin de Tablas Rouge from Paso Robles.
So,
do you know anything about that? Been there? Yeah.
I think
this is the Alex show. See you later.
I'm right. What can I say? Look, as you know, we're huge fans of doing things in a way that is sensitive to the environment they're grown in, because we think wine is the canary in the mine for a lot of climate change. People questioned, does climate change really exist? Well, meanwhile, what's happening in the wine industry? Well, the Australians are having to pick earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. Everyone's having to pick earlier and earlier and earlier. And wine regions such as even Sweden are coming online that should not be able to make wine. So we are interested in this topic. but we're interested in not just from a hippie point of view. We're interested in it from a what makes a really good wine point of view. And I think it's interesting because biodynamics is a controversial topic because it all came from the teachings of Adolf Steiner, who was a very famous person who had lots of theories on lots of things.
Can
And
you move that on because I can't see it?
that's fine.
Even with my glasses, I'm blind.
That's okay. Moving on. Tabascoot Rouge.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's
but
fine.
the people need to put their words in.
Biodynamics, quite clearly, the people who make biodynamic wine, it's demonstrably better. It's demonstrably better. It's like they've done actually quite scientific analysis of this, and organic and biodynamic wines, on average, taste better than their non-organic or non-biodynamic alternatives. What Jason, as a scientist, there is a bit of me that goes at that point because I go, why? What bits of this are making work? Is it because of the phase of the moon? Maybe, maybe not.
So before you go deep,
yeah?
I'm just going to put my opinion in here.
Go for it.
Because I think the most important thing is the wine has got to be good. Okay, the wine has to be
Exactly,
good. The wine's got to be good. And all those other things are tick boxes. However, if someone is making a wine that is organic or sustainable or biodynamic or green or any of those magical words,
yep,
they have a set of rules and regulations that they need to follow to appease that.
Yep.
So therefore, they are going to be spending more time and being more diligent about what they're doing. So therefore, the final product is going to be better down to their diligence above anything else.
You can lean on modern chemicals in the vineyard and they'll sort all your problems out. And it makes a very it kills everything in the soil that is not a grapevine. It kills all the bugs, it kills all of the bacteria, it kills all the plants. You haven't got any insects flying around doing their things. And vines are carefully designed these days that they are self-pollinating. So you don't need much interaction from insects to do the pollination side of things. It still needs to be done. But so you can lean on that stuff and it will make really good, reliable, high quality, high yield wine. But when people make something that's a bit more alive, a bit more vibrant in the vineyard, it seems to create a better result. What I don't like is the bits on Steiner's guides which were just completely crazy, just completely like, wow, what about, it was all just a little bit ridiculous. And yet there are bits of it that clearly work. So the scientist in me wants to go, which bits work? Because do you know what the difference between alternative medicine and medicine is?
One's different to the other one.
If you could call it, if you could prove that alternative medicine worked, it would be called medicine. So, and it's the same thing. We can go into this this process, and we will find the bits that work. And I was sat there going, "Why are not enough people doing this?" And then I met Jason, and Jason has exactly that same mindset. He wants to know which bits work and why. Why do they work? So he doesn't need to waste time on the bits that don't make any impact. And by God, I've never had the opportunity to meet someone so thoughtful. So I'm going to shut up now because I spoke to him for, I think, 2 hours, and I recorded about an hour of it.
Before I put it in, I'll tell you,
I can't cut anything. It's too good.
I'd flown into San Francisco to meet him to go up to Napa. And he was going to pick me up from the airport at 12:30. So I land at the airport and send him a little WhatsApp message saying, "Yeah, I'm here." He's like, "I'm kind of still in Paso. I've not left yet. 4 hours away."
I didn't taste a single wine. I just geeked out with him in the vineyard. I think he was a little bit confused by this. That most people, when they come and want to go around the winery, they want to sit there with the winemaker and drink all the wine. I've drunk all his wines before. I just wanted to geek out with him. It was great. But I will say this: by the time I did finally drive from Paso Robles all the way up to San Francisco and drive into the middle of the city, weren't you supposed to be driving the rest of the journey?
I was, but I'd been working hard on sampling some quality American wines to get myself on the right time zone. But anyway,
how many bottles had the two of you sampled?
More than one, less than 10. Let's go to a video.
Let's go to the video. Okay. All right. So this is the first 5 minutes of my chat with Jason Haas of Tablets Creek. We will be doing a deep dive into this with him next year.
So what you have on the right is one of our kind of biodiversity little hubs where we've got a bunch of different fruit trees. You can see it's an apple right in front of us, and then we've got quince there, and we've got cherries and plums and apricots and pears, and then we have a bunch of flowering shrubs. You can see those are natives at ground level.
Nice.
And those we keep irrigated all summer so that they grow.
Okay.
It stops raining here in April. It doesn't rain again until November. So the grapevines are fine because their roots are down 5, 10, 15, 20 feet as they need to find the water. But with like shrubs on the surface, flowering plants on the surface, you've got to irrigate them if you want them to live through the summer.
That makes sense.
So we don't irrigate the vineyard. You can see there's no irrigation lines in the vineyard, but we do irrigate the kind of insectaries that we have planted. This used to be that kind of low trellised head trained vines, and we realized that we actually wanted more of the growth up higher so that the frost could drain underneath it without freezing everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can see the original trunks at about 2 feet out of the ground, and then we brought a new longer post and trained it up higher. So now that it's about 6 feet high, and we have arms coming off kind of radially all the way from the bottom all the way up, which both gives us a little more production if we don't get frozen, and means that if we do get frozen, hopefully there's some of those buds that are above the frost.
But presumably you're going to have to pick the different heights at different times, or do you just...
We pick almost everything in multiple passes anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not that much of an additional burden.
That makes sense. Excellent.
So this is Tanat, actually, a little bit of non-roan that we have. And then this is a new Senso block that we have up here. It's like 7 years old, six years old.
Do you do much mechanical working on the land at all? Or?
So this was an area where we went through and actually spaded the cover crop in.
Oh,
the cover crop was taller than the vines. And that was partly because these are young vines, and we don't usually have our sheep in where the vines are super young, or else they can do some damage. And partly because it was so wet this winter that this was essentially would have been a mud pit if we'd let the sheep in. So we kept the sheep out, and that meant that the cover crop grew up so high that we felt like we needed to actually incorporate it in order to keep it from being this source of unending competition with vines. But if you compare
nitrogen fixation, good.
Part of the cover crops are legumes, so we use clovers and sweet peas and fava beans as a part of the cover crop mix. And then there's just all of the organic matter that comes from the
sheep.
From the sheep, basically, the sheep as mobile composters of
just fantastic, isn't it? It's almost as if it was done kind of by design. But, I mean,
So this is a block where we've alternated Syrah and Grenache.
Okay.
So if you look at the top of the hill, you can see how some of the alternate rows are trellised higher and then lower.
Oh, yeah, I see the height difference,
The high rows are basically Syrah trellised up to 6 feet.
Yep.
The low rows are Grenache trellised to 3 feet.
Okay.
And we're trying to use the Syrah's tendency towards having these long, sprawling canes to help protect the Grenache from sunburn. Because we get bleaching in the heat of the sun here, and a lot of our neighbors will use shade cloth or some other form of artificial blocking of the sun. But shade cloth is this kind of noxious plastic stuff that has to be replaced every couple of years and just goes into the landfill. And so we figure, why not use the natural growing characteristics of something like Syrah to do the work instead? And this on the right is a head-trained, dry farm, no-till block of quinoas that we planted now 5 years ago.
Cool.
So this has never been tilled. We've actually been using this as kind of a proving ground, a test of various things that we've wanted to try, but haven't wanted to convert an established dry farmed block to no-till. Because if it's been tilled for its first 10 or 12 years of its life, and all of a sudden you stop tilling it, you have a different sort of environment that you've all of a sudden introduced into these vines that aren't used to it. So what we're doing is we're basically saying, okay, we're starting this from scratch.
Yep.
In the way that we want to learn about, and watching how it does. And so far,
so good.
So yeah, as you can see, it's
Geek Factor 11.
but the level of care, the level of decision making, the level of everything that happens, and I think this really shows the difference between, when we talk about how much a bottle of wine should cost, the difference between a commodity wine and a quality wine.
Yeah.
A wine that is just grapes are pulled out of the ground and
by a machine harvester, put into a giant tank
and sent on their way, versus someone who has made a conscious decision about every single thing that happens in the wine. And so this is regenerative farming is what he's.
So he
all
invented
about,
regenerative viticulture. He is the king of regenerative viticulture.
And I think regenerative is really, really important, because a lot of people go, "Oh, I'm sustainable." Well, we all know that it's not great at the moment. So being sustainable is just keeping it a little bit crappy. Yeah. Regenerative is about making it better, and we're seeing a lot of people are making conscious decisions for the right reasons. A, they think it makes better wine. Yeah. There's a winemaker up in Oregon called Josh Bergstrom who does organic. A, because he thinks it makes better wine, but B, he lives on the vineyard, and he's like, my kids go and play in the vineyard. So yeah. Why? I'm not going to spray the grapes if my kids are going to be in the vineyard. And then if I don't want my kids around the stuff that's going on the grapes, why should I put it on the grapes that people are then going to consume?
So we had lots of discussions about regenerative farming, obviously at college, and the way that a lot of people, the question is, how do you measure how the soil is being restored, how it's going back to its natural state? And one of the kind of proxies that you use for how healthy is the soil, in England, people would bury pieces of clothing, cotton pieces of clothing. They'd bury a cotton T-shirt, and they'd see how fast it would be basically eaten by the all of the organisms. They might also dig up the soil and check out the number of worms and things that are in there and insects. That's one way of doing it. And I proposed that later on, just after this, in the video to Jason, and I said, how do you measure your effect on the soil? How do you measure it? He goes, well, obviously there's carbon sequestering. We're looking at how much carbon's going into that, but we send it to the lab and they tell us what the level of activity that's going on is. We don't bury a cotton shirt. We send it to the lab, and so yeah. But the key thing is, does it make? And yes, okay, right. It can be a little bit boring. I think we've got an hour of that footage. So if you're not into that, don't worry. That's fine. Just drink the wine. It's bloody good.
But don't say it out loud to Alex.
He sells a bag in box. No, I
cancel your membership.
No,
don't come back. You've got to listen to me.
He sells a bag in box rosé wine for $100,
and it's delicious.
And they sell out
immediately.
Days, like I think that's the longest they've had was 2 days. It is unbelievable. So what they're doing is really important. Now I have a question about what is tilling. Tilling is basically where you go through. It's like a light version of ploughing. You go through with a tractor and you basically use these little kind of quite often discs
basically
that just rip the soil up.
Rotates the
just the top couple of inches of the soil, kills all of the weeds that are in the top, and of course. Mate, Jamie, you want? Yeah,
I've been with him doing these advent calendar videos. It's tiring.
If you look at a tilled vineyard, it has bare brown soil on the top of it all the time, beautifully broken up. It looks very pretty. It makes nice photographs, but there's no life there. And more importantly, it's very easy for the soil to get washed away when you get a really big amount of rain. Like they had the last 2 years, huge amounts of rain. The neighbours' vineyards, the soil's getting washed away.
Yeah.
Jason's not, because they have not broken up that topsoil. So that's really, really cool. Anyway, which do you prefer? The Perrin family. Oh, we didn't mention it. Tablas Creek was co-founded by the Perrin family and Jason Haas's father. So this is a joint venture in that glass between the Haas family of California and the Perrin family of Rhone, France, and these are the two expressions of their two different families. Yeah, slightly different price points, but
yeah, different price points on these two particular wines. But if you take the two top levels,
both
if you
go.
take Tablas Creek, Top Rouge, and Beaucastel, but this was started. Tablas Creek was started with cuttings from Beaucastel, so they took
they
vine
literally-
material from France, slapped it into Passau.
And there are people who've done that in the kind of like,
and I say slapped in, it was
unofficial
probably a
route.
bit more
it
careful than that.
It was had to go through a multi-year process to be approved to say these vines are free of viruses, so that when we introduce these vines, they're not going to destroy the soil, and they're not going to destroy all of the other vines. We're not going to, have a pinotage situation where suddenly leaf roll spreads through everything. So the official importing process for getting new vines in, Tablas Creek, there have been people who brought in Pinot Noir clones from Dijon and places in Burgundy. They did it unofficially in a suitcase.
Suitcase Pinot Noirs.
Yeah. That's fine. If you're just doing that one wine, you can probably get away with it. But if you're doing all of the varieties that are permitted in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and that is what Tablas Creek have done, they brought in every single variety from the Perrin family vineyards in the Rhone that were allowed to make Châteauneuf-du-Pape, and planted them all, plus a few others. And Magda, I haven't got a clue what Tourette Noir is. It's one of them. I could go and
so Tourette Noir is
he knows good.
It's very small production, but it's another one of those grapes like Alicante Boucher that has the red flesh.
Oh, okay. How about that?
But yeah, it's dark, it's spicy, it adds power and spice and wine. But it's one of these. It's 1% here or there. So you're never going to see it as a single varietal wine.
Is it the others that bring the lightness? I mean, it's really hard to tell. There's so many different facts that go into the winemaking of it. One of the things that I was most impressed by was how many different lots they ferment separately. They have this chalkboard. Actually, I think the picture might be... No, it's not. No, I was going to put the picture on, but I didn't. But they have this chalkboard of all the different ferments they're running over the vintage, and it's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, there's any number of factors that can go into it. But ultimately, I think that probably the biggest factor is the personal taste of the people who are making the wine.
Absolutely, but yeah. So just as far as it, if you like the style wine, completely out there. Here's my other random plug. Is we still have a little bit of their 2019 Roussanne downstairs, and that just gets better as it gets older. It's phenomenal.
Crikey, do you know what? When you compare them side by side, that is fascinating, isn't it? Because you see that common lineage, don't you? Wow. Really interesting. So surprised at how light it was. Thought it would have been Pinot Noir. Yeah, it's
the color
is quite light, and especially from the place where when we were there, it was. Well, sorry, I was there. You weren't. You could have been there. It was nearly 100 degrees Celsius, and that was pretty typical for them at that time of year. They hadn't had any rain since God knows when, and he seemed pretty chilled about it. And the way that they'd dealt with that was they'd got all these channels where they'd been gathering the rainfall, and they made it flow through the compost heaps. So the compost heaps are where they put all the things like the skins and the seeds and the stems from the winemaking process. And the rain went through the compost heaps and then washed away a little bit of the kind of some of the nutrients in that, but also all of the bacteria that are doing the work in the compost heap. And they made what he calls compost tea. And he then spreads that into the vineyard. And I go, well, what do you do with the water from the winery? And he goes, well, we have this multi-level, basically, imitation of a natural kind of wetlands where you've got reed beds and things all go.
So I'm gonna.
And then there was a llama.
I'm going to have to tell you that if you keep going at this rate, no one's going to buy a ticket for the deep dive.
No one's going to buy a ticket. Yeah, I've told them everything. But yeah. Spicy, calm, fruits of the forest, peppers, plum, balsamic notes.
Not a touch of badger in this one. Not inkling.
Touch of badger. Portobello,
Stars
still winning tonight. Love the Alsace wine tasting, more depth. Do you know what? I hope we've done a bit more of that kind of tasting, the learning tonight. Oh, I've got the wrong camera up. That's better. That's the right one. Are we the wrong way? Hold on.
Oh, that's magic, isn't it?
We're on different sides.
We're back now.
That's better. Okay.
It's on either side.
Okay, right. So we got one more wine left. But I would love to. I'd love to know which. Pop in the chat just the number 4 or 5. Pop it down, and if you've got split, pop one of each. And
45.
Yeah, 45. Yeah.
Right. Should I open the last one while people do that? And
Let's
we can
do
move the
that.
tasting
Yeah,
notes on? Oh,
I think my vote's for 5, but I think I'm probably biased there.
I wouldn't have noticed. I wouldn't have
Did
noticed.
kind of
You've got
feel
another
like
glass over there if you don't want a rosé dessert wine.
yeah, let's do that. Actually, yeah, yes.
Yes. Okay, yes. Right. So I was going to say this is the final wine of the year, but I'm sure loads of you out there have an advent calendar, so it's not the final of the year. But this is the final club wine of the year. So before this start, I'm going to say thank you very much again. It's been such a cool year.
It's close, isn't it?
This has got nothing to do with anything we've done this year. But I thought, we did an alternative South America tasting at some point. No, that was the year before.
It's closely related to one of the wines in the advent calendar, isn't it? Let's move the tasting notes on.
It is, but I just thought, coming into Christmas, we should do something sweet. And
because his favourite wine type is definitely, he's got a sweet tooth. In the words of Wonka, do you have a sweet tooth?
I do. Like that. There we go. Right.
Do you have the hots for dessert wines from Chile?
So, I'm going to give a little bit away here because whatever. Sometimes dessert wine comes in and people, I don't like sweet things. I'm like, you do. You're going to have a Yule log at Christmas.
Yeah.
But you just think you're not meant to like sweet wines because sweet wine is uncouth and it's linked to things like white Zinfandel or whatever it is. Don't like that. What Echo Falls? Yeah. Dessert wines are some of the best wines on the planet. The balance, the craftsmanship to have the level of sweetness balanced with the level of acidity to keep the level of freshness. Absolutely love. The biggest problem with dessert wines, generally, I say problem, it's not problem. The biggest issue with people drinking more of it is because of the way they're made. They're generally quite labour intensive and quite product heavy because you're trying to reduce water, whichever way you're doing it, to create sweetness.
Yeah,
so
it's almost like actually, if you've got your thing, you might find a little guide to making sweet wines.
So you look at some of the classic regions of the world that you expect to get dessert wine from. You've got Sauternes, where they do botrytis. You've got Canada and Germany, where they make ice wine.
Cryo extraction.
And they generally are quite expensive. You can be 40, 50, 100, 150 pounds for a half bottle of wine.
Yeah, well, when you look at the amount of grapes that goes into, like, if you were to talk about those grapes at their sort of typical level, if you had brought them in at normal point, whatever it is, and then you'd look at the amount of wine they produce, the yields are pathetic. It's terrible. It's terrible, terrible business to make sweet wine. It's definitely a labour of love.
But if you have a winery like Viña Requinga, who have 1,000 hectares.
Yes, on the Survales family winery across Chile and Argentina.
So we've got loads and loads of things, and they make wines at all levels. For those who've known us for a little while and kind of, during lockdown, Casa Santiago was the biggest wine sale that we had. Really just good drinking value.
Oh yeah, and we put it up against a Premier Cru. We put their Burgundy. Pinot Noir against a Premier Cru Pinot Noir from Burgundy,
and it won.
And it won, and I was pissed.
And it's 10 quid a bottle, and it's epic. So I'm just going to say
it's not as good.
We've got some of that in stock. So if you need a case of good stuff, get some Chilean Pinot Noir for everyday drinking.
Turns out
over the Christmas
a lot
period.
of people like it.
But they make that. They've then got some mid-level, some high-level. But because they have such volumes of wine, it means they're able to do the little things, and they don't. I'm not saying they don't have to make financial sense, but they don't need to be making the margins or those kind of things that they need to. So, this is, and I'm just going to, because it's on its own, so it doesn't really matter about wine. And this is 12 quid for a half bottle.
Which in the world of dessert wines is excellent.
It's such phenomenal value. Yeah. So I'd say dive in and
what's the alcohol on this one?
That's a good question. Let me tell you. 14.5.
14.5. So, if you're looking at my thing, 14.5 is typically when most yeast, even wine yeast, and apart from some very specialised ones, will go, I've had enough.
Yeah, that's pushing the boundaries.
There's still sugar there to ferment, but they don't want to. They're pissed. They're really, 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 So it gets to that point. That's where you get to with your Sauternes and things. Now, obviously, that's through a different method to concentrate it.
Oh, sorry, I forgot the link.
Harvest, isn't it?
This is another me trip wine. I had dinner with the winemaker at Smith and Walensky's earlier this year. Benoit Feet. That's what it is. I didn't taste this wine at the dinner, but we had their Piedra de Toro stuff. Really, really good. A really nice guy. French guy. Has been doing this since 2001.
That's great. That's really delicious.
But it's Sauvignon. It's Sauvignon Semillon, so it's the same blend as a Sauterne.
Yeah.
I just think it's decadent. It's rich. It's got nice freshness about it. It's not tiring. Sometimes you have dessert wine and you have 2 sips of it. You're like, oh, can't do any more of it. I just think this is delightful. It's got complexity. I think it's cool. I just think it's cool, and people need to drink more dessert wine. And you don't have to have it with dessert. You can have it instead of dessert.
Yeah,
and when
I actually quite often do that. And we did it the other night when we were out for dinner with Ben, didn't we? From Sort of Food. We were just like, do we go for a dessert? Actually, let's have a small glass of dessert wine. We had the South African one from Jordan,
absolutely,
which was hilarious because the winemaker from Jordan was at the table next to us, which is that's why you go to High Timber in London.
But I think this is, once again, people go, oh, dessert wine, special occasion. And
Christmas is.
But sod Christmas. But what? But if you're going to open a 40, 50 quid bottle of dessert wine, it's going to be a special occasion. But there's no reason to not have a bottle of this, pop it over in the fridge. It's 14.5%. It's not going anywhere if you keep it in the fridge over the week. Have half a glass each night after dinner. The world's a good place.
Drink less, as Helen said,
drink less, drink better.
Great with cheese. So what cheese would you pair with this? You're going to say something creamy, aren't you?
All the cheeses.
All the cheese.
All the cheeses. Like this could go with it. It could go with cheddar. It could go with brie because it's got the acidity. If I wanted to go, I would probably go Australian. Do something like Roaring Forties Blue with this. That kind of like mild, creamy, bluiness.
I don't know that one. That's exciting.
That's
Bluey.
My word.
But
it's nearly the end of the year, isn't it?
It is. But we our friends at Sorted Foods, they did this live streaming as thing called Traitor at the Castle.
Traitor at
Culinary Castle. And one of my favourite things that they had to do was they had see no evil, hear no evil, something. Speak no evil. Yes, and it was the classic one, wasn't it? And Barry had these headphones on that meant he couldn't hear anything else. And for the entire challenge where they had to try to cook this dish, he was listening to Bluey on repeat, the theme tune,
while yelling at people because he had no idea what the volume was. It was amazing.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So if you've not seen that, jump in and see the guys on Sorted Food. They're on YouTube. Such cool stuff.
They're like us, but good. That's some wonderful wonderful tasting notes. Now look at that. We've got everything from marmalade and those concentrated fruits through to lavender and honey and mango meringue. Absolutely. That really kind of like fizzy sweetness that you get with that. Peach surprise of the night. I like tasting notes like that. Let me just pull up the actual ones. Ginger, there's definitely that
ginger,
kind of
orange, raisin. There's a hint of badger. We're back. It's okay. Orange marmalade, orange jam, aka marmalade. Thank you.
We'd be disappointing if it was.
Thank you, Paddington. Paddington wine. We'll call this Paddington wine.
That's from Chile, not Peru.
Close enough, isn't it?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah.
I'll upset a lot of people saying that.
To be fair, Chile is a very long country. It kind of covers a lot of. We'll call it. So,
Lost Paddington.
Lost Paddington.
Lost
yeah.
Paddington
Bit like
wine.
my friend Chris when he accidentally went over into a volcano and got lost up
But
there.
anyway, we are, I would say,
we are
digressing,
digressing.
but that's what we do. So
So is it time by any chance to move on
it is.
from Wine 6 to
What did we decide we were doing next?
the big wine quiz?
The big
of
wine
the
quiz of the
year.
year. This is all very much things you must know if you're WSET level 3 or diploma. Those kind of high brow level questions. Ian Wareham's in. Chris is in. The leaks are in. Chris O. Taste Shock.
I like that name. That's excellent.
Wow. Is that the newest Avenger?
Brilliant.
Joe's in. Di and Andy playing together. Dream team.
Dream team. So as usual, for those of you who have not seen this before, the winner of our quiz wins a tasting pack that they can give away to one of their friends in order to let them come and join and see what we're all about and all this fun stuff. Because it's a bit of a fun evening in, isn't it? It's a lot cheaper than going out for a night out these days, isn't it?
I don't ever get a night out. I'm always here doing this wine show thing.
Once a month. How are we doing?
Okay, we'll give you another
so we've
30
got
seconds
30
for anyone else to
seconds
get
for
in.
Others to get in, yeah.
Badger 2? Who thinks they're Badger 2? Psh, no bonus points for names like that. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Excellent.
So we'll do 5, 4. Actually, I'm not going to do anything with timing because we'll never get it right. Okay,
Right.
let's go. Let's see.
Question number one.
Let's see what question I've left in from last time or not edited the answers for. Let's go. Done.
Tattinger launched their UK sparkling wine project, but what is it called? Is it Brit Tat? Is it Domaine Evremond? Is it Domaine de la Rêve? Or is it Everflight, spelt in a very jaunty fashion? Domaine de la Rêve, a very dreamy sort of name. Domaine
Oh my word!
Evermond?
He's doing translations.
I don't
here.
know. Brit Tat. British Tat. It's got to be. No, I don't know.
Oh, so we got big votes on Brit Tat. Brit Tat's in for the win, but is it correct?
It is Domaine Evremond. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but there we are. That's their brand.
It's the French equivalent of Brit Tat, I think.
I think it must be.
There should be bonus points for Brit Tat. But remember, it's not just about getting it right, it's speed as well. So where are we at? Who's quick?
The leaks are in the lead.
But 14 seconds. People thought about that for a little while. There's seconds. David's tied.
Yeah, tied. So in reality, there's so many different ways you can go with this, aren't there? Anyway, let's move on. Bill Gates is in 5th place. That's good. Alex A. What? I have worn many silly shirts this year, including one with Jamie's face, but what fruit or vegetable is also prominent?
Is
on
it
that
still
shirt?
here?
I
Or have you
can't
taken it
remember.
home?
I think I might have taken it home.
Why? 'Cause you love
avocado,
it so
grapes, eggplant. I don't know that one. That was bought for
Why?
me.
Because all you could do was gaze at my face.
All I could do was be blinded by your face and try to look away. There we are.
Let's see who's been paying attention.
Avocado.
I'm
grapes.
guessing everyone's guessed there. That's it. We're almost down the middle split. Do you want to hazard your guess?
It was avocado.
Of course it was.
Oh, I'll be damned. Never mind, eh? Ah!
David knows, Magda knows.
David and Magda know.
Ian Wareham, very
Oh,
disappointed.
goodness me.
Pay more
Excellent.
attention.
Okay, so on to wine question number 3. Which prestigious
this one?
awards did
You
the
tell
Online
I've
Wine
written them
Tasting
again.
Club win this year? Pouchers Magazine Pouch Maker of the Year. Bad puns win, but it's obviously not that one. Top wine pun. People's Choice Online Retailer of the Year, or Decanter Magazine's Best Wine Club? Excellent question.
If it was good puns week,
Gary
I'd vote
Barlow
for
would
that.
know, wouldn't he? Goodness me. Yes. Okay. Well, People's Choice Drink Awards is the top favourite there. No one thinks you won Best Wine Pun. I wonder why.
Yeah,
Is
great.
it because of your Tanat joke again? Yes, correct. It was the Online Retailer of the Year. David stays in the lead and quick as of but Magda following closely behind.
But the next 3 are quicker, but one question behind. So everything's to play for.
Everything's to play for. Okay, question number 4. How many different wines have we featured across all forms of our tastings this year? Is it 50, Is it 78? Is it 146? Or is it 208 different wines? That's many wines, but 50 is also many wines. We've done many, many wines. I'm going to drink this.
You drink that. Many wines. Many.
That's delicious. I might take a few bottles of that for...
Well, why don't you let the people buy some first before you
I'll
go
let the other
nicking
people buy some
stock
first, and then we can get some more.
Yeah, let's see what we got. So, 78?
78?
No,
I thought 50.
No one thinks they're 50
They can
because
do
they're
some maths because
professionals,
they can
yes.
do 12 times by 6.
Six.
But there are other tastings that we have done.
So we've done it across all forms. So if you'd just done our tastings, we would have had the 72 for the 12 plus 6 for Alsace, which would have been 78 for the online club. But we have also done
the Advent calendar,
tasting packs available via Coravan, our Trevino tasting sets, and I've also hosted live tastings.
There we go, 146
is the answer.
My David's in the lead there. Excellent. March the 13th is a very important wine tasting, but why? Is it my birthday? Is it International Riesling Day? Is it the anniversary of our first ever tasting? Or is it Jamie's wedding anniversary to the lovely Heidi?
The question is, or is it all of them?
Or is it all of them? No, it's not.
But if it was all of them, which one is most important?
Good question. But yes, I mean, I'm fairly competent on at least one which it isn't. The anniversary of... do you know what? That is a very good answer. Why is great with cheese highlight? Okay. It's not Jamie's wedding anniversary.
No one thinks it's your birthday, Alex.
That's correct.
If anyone wants to put Alex's birthday in the chat for 10 points, if no one thinks it's your birthday.
That is a dangerous proposition. But anyway, sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. That's why I can't click through. Okay. Next.
So it is National Riesling Day. Of course it is.
It's a day that is more special to Jamie, some say, than his wedding anniversary.
Don't say that out loud. She might be watching.
Excellent.
See you all on March 13th.
Magda now has taken the lead.
Magda knows about International Riesling Day.
Yes. Oh, gosh. Well, there we are. Right, next question. Well, there aren't that many of them left. For our Advent calendar projects, we did ours, we did Naked's, we did a few others. How many individual bottles of wine did we have to open by hand and inspect the quality of? Which means we have to sniff every single bottle of wine, and if there's any doubt, it gets poured into a glass, gets checked first of all by Vitas, then by myself, and then by Jamie. And yes, that is many bottles.
Somewhere between 900 and 17,000.
Or somewhere in the middle.
So the big bet is on 3,000 bottles, but was it?
No. 17,000 bottles were opened by hand, and when they're packed up in bloody, waxed corks, that is not much fun. So we prefer it in screw caps, but Magda remains in the lead.
That's what we do for you, lovely people.
We do
lovely
every
people.
single damned bottle. So, American AVAs, those are the equivalents of AOCs or DOCs. They have some great names, but which isn't a real AVA. Inwood AVA, are any of these real? Tip of the Mitt, Wilcox, Mount Pisgah, Fiddletown, or Gobbler's Knob. I think it's Gobbler's Knob, but crikey, I have no idea.
Oh, it's all split. Which one isn't real? Oh, there's smart.
Correct. It is actually Gobbler's Knob, although that is a real place. To be fair,
Gobbler's Knob is a real place. Extra points in the chat if anyone can tell me where Gobbler's Knob is.
Yes,
and why it's famous.
Why is Gobbler's Knob famous? Okay.
Well, hold on. I'll reveal that at the end of the quiz.
Good Lord. Okay. So, leaderboard, Bill Gates is now in the lead. I doubt it's Bill Gates, but Bill G.
Where's your thing? Oh, your thing's there. Okay.
What? Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Right. So that's,
I don't know if it's the next one.
No, that's... Yes. No, that's the last question, isn't it?
No.
Okay, so are you ahead of the game? What's the first tasting of 2025?
I thought you were going to give that away when you said about we're going to give a free tasting pack away, but then...
Australia. I don't know what it was.
Have you not looked at the calendar yet? Yeah, you'll do that on the 20th of January.
I'll do that
when I say Taylor, we've got a tasting tonight.
Yes, that's generally speaking when I start looking at things.
This is how quickly people can Google.
Spain, Australia, Chile, or South Africa? The number one answer is Spain because it is Spain. Correct.
These people are planning ahead.
Maria! I've just met a leader called Maria. So, the next question, let me prepare it, is what is this for? Is it a wire tensioner? A nutcracker?
You need to make that bigger
Is
so
it
people
for-
can actually see the answers on the screen.
Oh, they can see it on their phones. Is it for
Oh, okay,
closing the
fine.
champagne cage? Is it for doing that? Or is it another piece of junk that Alex found in his garage? Or did it involve the sheep at Tablas Creek? You weren't expecting that question, that
Sheep
answer
at
to
the
be
creek.
in there.
Yeah, I don't know what you're
We
adding.
have wire tensioners in the lead. Christmas nutcracker, not so popular. It does seem a little bit excessive, granted. Is it for closing champagne cages, or does it involve the sheep at Tablas Creek?
Who's your mate Christmas?
It is correct. This is a gripple wire tensioning tool, and what you can do is you twist that to change the tension in your wires, and then it goes into the top bit, and you do that. That is really important. You have to tension the wires at different times throughout the year. There we are. Andre C is the winner. Goodness me, what an exciting... That shifted around so much. Andre, that was a late charge to come through to the leading position. Congratulations.
Pop us an email
and
let us know who would like to...
Yes, your friend or family member who would like to get a free tasting pack. Now, we have one additional question, which is, should Alex, that's me, do a Christmas song tonight? And the options are no, but also no, but possibly in a different colour. So it probably doesn't matter.
So it's still no.
Too much.
Still definitely no. Still definitely no. And Sam Lee is there with Groundhog Day at Gobbler's Knob with a super filled groundhog. Whether there'll be 6 more weeks of winter.
Quite right.
Punxsutawney. Have you ever tried to type that and it not autocorrect it to something else? Anyway, bit of Groundhog Day. Who doesn't love that? So, should we pop onto Wine of the Night while you... Is that what we're on
let's move on to that.
Why don't we go to Wine of the Night while you sort your vocal cords out or whatever you need to do?
Okay, right. How do I turn that off?
You need to go to Sources.
I have to go to there now.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, what's that doing? I don't want that. Your Rhonda will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make sure your Yule has no gamay. From now on, 19 crimes will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, drinking Chardonnays of yore. Faithful friends who brought beer to us, I will just drink Petrus for sure. Through the years, our aged wine gives us pleasure. If the corks allow, open up that bottle of Clos Vougeot and say wow, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Here comes the instrumental bit.
The fact is, I can hear nothing. He's got he's got the headphones on, jamming along. So I'm gonna be back in a minute.
All those friends who brought beer to us will just drink Petrus for sure. Be change. Through the years, our aged wine gives us pleasure. If those damn corks allow. So open up that bottle of Clos Vougeot now and say wow.
Wow.
And have yourself a merry little Christmas
Now.
They are so
Yay.
broken. Merry Christmas and enjoy.
Anyway, we don't need to see the votes for Song of the Night because we know what it wasn't. Let's have a quick look at Wine of the Night, and then we can have a look at the prices.
Oh dear. Yep. Send more wine is the way to go. Oh my goodness me. That is the closest. We've said this before. That's ridiculous.
It is basically a 6-way tie because that actually looks like it's further out from the angle. So,
what? But it is the Chardonnay. The Chardonnay has narrowly won. I mean, I can't say anything else. Then you've got basically a 3-way tie between.
What,
it's changing.
It's moving again. Don't move it now. So let's pop the prices up.
The Chardonnay is one. Anyway, that's the main thing. Lovely.
Chardonnay. Yes.
Oh, dearly me. Right, where's the prices? Standing ovation. That's one word for it.
Standing and leaving.
Standing and leaving ovation.
You know, the joy of doing that is you can turn your laptop off at home. It's not like it's a live show that you can't leave. But yeah, there's you can see there's some definitely premium wines in there tonight. We tried to do some cool stuff. But yeah, as I said, the sweet wines, I think, such great value.
Yes.
We are shipping tomorrow. We're shipping Friday to be able to get everything out to you for Christmas.
I'll be in on Monday.
We'll also ship Monday, but there's no guarantees on Monday that will be there by Christmas. I just want to say, it's been such fun doing these things this year.
It really has.
I know we've had technical issues. I know we've had blue screening. I know we've had things that haven't quite gone as it should be. But for those of you who've been with us, it's me and him and a camera, and that's what it is. We don't have a 50-person production crew. No. We try to. Sometimes the internet just says no. Sometimes the camera says I don't fancy it. For every test we've ever done, so
it does. We've also just one quick question before we go away. Is what just pop in the chat. You don't need to do this now. We're not going to wait for it. But what do you want to see in next year's club tastings? Just write in whatever you fancy. We'll wines, regions,
we'll leave it
concepts.
We'll leave it up.
We'll leave it up.
Credits roll.
Absolutely.
But I just want to say, everyone who supports, everyone who buys an advent calendar, everyone who does a tasting, everyone who wins the quiz and then introduces a new person to the club, that's what we're here for. We are going to try and work out some level of referral reward scheme next year so you can tell people and get wine for telling people about us. We're going to try and do more things out and about with everybody. So let us know what you want. We're fingers crossed we've added a couple of new people to the team, but we're going to try and get some more people in here so we can do some.
We're going to do a blind tasting one, so that'll be quite challenging and quite fun. But yes, thank you all for your immense support, your love, and
your good quality wine drinking.
A great tasting notes and pairing suggestions as always.
But anyway, have
we'll
a
see
wonderful holiday, Christmas, New Year, whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
But whatever you are doing, make sure it's a good bottle of wine you're drinking.
Quite right.
Cheers.
Good night, all. Merry Christmas.